I think. All right, folks, let me know now. I think we're live. I think we should be okay, folks. Yeah, I just got a notification that I went live again. So I think we'll be there. Try it now, period. I just went live again. I think it's okay. Okay, Brian says it's working. All right. Okay, well, like I said, Windows 11 had done some big update, had wiped out everything. I had to reset up everything all over again. Good, Eleanor sees me now too. Okay. And I guess because I had trouble setting them up, I had started 4 different broadcasts, and I just got rid of the other 3, but when I came back to the 4th one that I had left, it hadn't gone live again. So now we should be okay. So let's go back to tonight's stories. All right, back to tonight's stories. Like I said, you go to my webpage, mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on today's date, you'll get the show notes just for tonight. Now, Brian's saying there's a super echo. I don't know what to do about that because I'm not hearing it at all. Oh, wait a minute. There is something I can check. I stuck my earbuds in, but I never actually made sure they were connected. I don't want the Pixel Buds Pro. I want Buds 2. Yeah, there they are. Okay. Now, I just connected my earbuds. Hopefully you don't have the echo anymore. Yeah, I just adjusted my audio, Brian. I got my earbuds connected. I thought they were connected, but now they are connected. So hopefully that's fixed. So back to my show notes for tonight. All right, first story is going to be about Intel. He's saying still super echo. I'm not hearing an echo. Let me hear it from my super echo. I'm not hearing an echo. See, even when I listen to it on my phone, Brian, I'm hearing an echo. Yeah, see, I'm not hearing any. See, even when I listen to it on my phone, Brian, I'm hearing an echo. Okay, see, I'm not hearing any. Okay, now I have it back. All right, let me see if I can take it off of here. Maybe it's my phone. Usually I have my phone open so I can see the comments right away, but it may be interfering. So let me close them up on my phone. Okay, any better, guys? I just turned my YouTube off on my phone. Let me know if it's any better. Other than that, Let's see, let me take a look at my settings, my audio. Let's see. I don't want speaker. That should be the microphone. Okay. I'm trying. Okay. All right. And Brian says it's better now. So this is what happens from me setting. I hadn't set any of this stuff up in, I don't know, a couple of years. So thanks to Microsoft, this is what it is. Thanks to you guys for sticking with me. Okay, Eleanor says it's better too. All right, back to the stories. So Intel gets a lift from U.S. Commerce Secretary. I told you last week that Intel had lots of problems. They were about to be thrown off the stock market, and the government's trying to help them. Then, of course, the big story is going to be the Apple event. We'll go over that. I got that on Tech Radar. And at the very end of that story, AirPods Pro 2 have been approved to be used as a hearing aid device by the FDA. So this one goes a little more in depth. It's not very long. And like I said, I have my AirPods Pro 2 right here. So that's what I took to work today. So hopefully I'll get that update. And then I got one from The Verge. Thanks to AI, new phones mean more RAM because all these phones that are using AI, they need lots and lots and lots of RAM. And all the new phones are getting more RAM. And okay. Renz is here. Hey, Renz, glad you're here, brother. You missed all the excitement because Windows 11 decided to do some huge update to my computer. I got in here today after work and I found that I had to redo everything from scratch for the broadcast stuff. Had all kinds of problems setting it up, especially the camera. And these guys, Brian and Eleanor and Annette, had been helping me, giving me feedback. I think we're okay now, but I think you got here just at the right time, so you missed all the exciting stuff. Okay, so that's our RAM story. Then Google's AI can create a podcast discussion from your notes. So this is Notebook LM, which is still in beta, I guess, but you can go grab it for your computer. But if you dictate to your notebook using this, when you're done, you can get a podcast from the AI with two different speakers discussing what you just recorded, which I think is pretty cool. I haven't tried it yet. I'm probably going to try it over the weekend. And then this, of course, was very cool. 2 civilians take a walk in space. That's a first. That's on Digital Trends. So we're going to take the first civilians who ever took a spacewalk. So we'll take a look at that. And the last story is T-Mobile and SpaceX complete the first ever satellite emergency alert. Now get this, across 500,000 square miles. So pretty good stuff. So now let's see if we can get through the stories without any more headaches. Sorry about all the problems, folks. And if Ted or by some miracle Mike comes in here, good. Ren says glad everything is good with you, Renz. And Renz is either at work or on his way to work if I know him. So he's 12 hours ahead of us time-wise. So for him, it's Saturday morning in the Philippines. All right, so Intel gets a lift from U.S. Commerce Secretary. This was on CNBC. Intel getting help from Commerce Secretary Raimondo as part of an effort to spur U.S. production. This was published yesterday, and was written by Modi, I guess. So let's put it into read review, get rid of some of these ads. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo listens as President Joe Biden participates virtually in a meeting on creating helpful incentives to produce semiconductors for America Act at the White House. Intel has been badly beaten down of late, and we reported to you on that last week, losing 60% of its value this year as it struggled to find its way in the booming artificial intelligence market while aggressively building out fabs in the U.S. The company is turning to Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo for help. In a recent meeting with Raimondo, Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger voiced frustration over the heavy reliance that U.S. companies have on Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing. Yeah, TSMC is the biggest in the world's largest contract chip maker. Raimondo followed that up with meetings with a handful of public market investors to reinforce the importance of chip manufacturing in the U.S., giving a growing geopolitical risk around Taiwan, according to people familiar with the matter who asked not to be named because the discussions were private. Now, they keep telling us that China may try to take over Taiwan. I see other stories that China's not trying to do that, so I don't know. But anyway, they're trying to get some insurance. Raimondo's goal was to urge shareholders in companies like NVIDIA and Apple to recognize the economic benefits of having a U.S. foundry that can produce AI chips. So the idea is to get Intel to produce these chips at home in the U.S. and to have people like companies like NVIDIA and Apple buy them. Now, whether they'll be as good as TSMC's, well, who knows? Intel is currently building out plants, get this, in 4 U.S. states as it seeks to become more of a foundry business, manufacturing chips for other suppliers. And believe me, that's a very, very expensive proposition. Earlier this year, Intel was awarded up to $8.5 billion in CHIPS Act funding from the Biden administration and could receive an additional $11 billion in loans from the legislation, which was passed in 2022, but they haven't gotten it yet. None of the funds have been distributed yet. A senior government official told CNBC disbursements are expected by the end of year. Yeah, with them building 4 foundries, they're going to need all that money and a whole lot more. It's an increasingly important initiative for Intel, which is getting trounced in the market for microprocessors. Yes, they are. In addition to losing share on its core PC and data center market to the likes of AMD, Intel is hardly on the map in AI when NVIDIA is dominant. Yeah, Intel's way behind. Pardon me. Intel's foundry effort has been stunted by delays, according to sources with knowledge of the matter. TSMC is also building a foundry in Arizona and has faced similar issues. Yeah, and I've seen that in other stories too. So they're all having the same issues trying to get these foundries up. The U.S. Commerce Department declined to comment as to the spokesperson for Intel. Intel's board meeting this week to discuss the company's restructuring plans, including potentially splitting up its design business, first I've heard of that, from its foundry, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Intel's chief financial officer, David Zinsner, told investors at a conference last week that splitting up the business made sense. So they might make the foundries a separate business, a separate chip business. What I can predict is we're going to create more separation between these 2 businesses, Zinsner said. It's important for customers to see that separation. In its earnings report last month, Intel reported profit and revenue that trailed analyst estimates. At least they're making some money, I guess, and said it was costing 15% of its workforce. And I gave you that story, 2 or 3 weeks ago. After the report, the stock had its worst day in 50 years, falling to its lowest in over a decade. That was last week's story. NVIDIA manufactures nearly all of its cutting-edge chips at TSMC, as does most of the world, which is also a major manufacturer for AMD, Apple, Amazon, Google, and Broadcom. So yeah, they make, I think it's something like 60 to 70% of all the chips on Earth for all these companies. Concerns have been rising for years that China could invade Taiwan, creating a massive risk for the U.S. chip industry. Yeah, if you don't have chips, you're pretty much up the creek in every business nowadays. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang spoke at the Goldman Sachs Communicopia, yeah, I said it right, conference on Wednesday and was asked about the geopolitical risk tied to Taiwan and what he would do if something happened. In the event that we have to shift from one fab to another, we have the ability to do it, he said in conversation with Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon. We won't be able to get the same level of performance, no, not with a new chip maker or cost, but we will be able to provide this supply. So I guess we all should be rooting for Intel to get those fabs and get those chips starting to be made. So anything, okay, good. Nothing new in the comments. And you guys comment on anything you want. Pardon my beer. All right, now we're going to the big one of the week. What was revealed at the It's Glow Time event. This is on Tech Radar. So this is from last Monday's event. Apple iPhone 16 event. Everything Apple announced and the 16 things we learned. Now get this, by Mark McLaren, contributions from Matt Evans, Becky Scarratt, Tom Bedford, Josh Russell, Amish Hector, John Anthony DeSoto, Jamie Richards. So they got everybody in on this one. Here's everything we learned during Apple's huge It's Glow Time event. So into preview we go. Apple's iPhone 16 event is now over, but we're only just starting to get to grips with everything that was announced by Tim Cook and friends. Oh, and this was written on Monday also, so right after the event. There was a lot to unpack. 4 new iPhones, 1 new Apple Watch. I ordered one of those. 2 new AirPods models and a bunch of clever Apple Intelligence features. But there were also several notable absentees that had been heavily rumored before the event, and some notable updates to existing devices. To get you up to speed with all the big announcements, here's our guide to everything Apple revealed. Now, I was working, but I went back and pretty much watched the whole thing, so it was about an hour and a half. And a few things we learned all along the way. The iPhone 16 gets not 1, but 2 new buttons. At first glance, the iPhone 16 might look a lot like its predecessor, but Apple has brought a handful of meaningful upgrades to its latest base model. On the design front, the iPhone 16 inherits the action button from the iPhone 15 Pro, but the more exciting addition is the all-new camera control button, which can be used in a manner akin to Google Lens to help you quickly learn about your surroundings. Let's see. Brian says they added a Touch ID-like button on the side with a sliding control figure. That's true. And there'll be more about that as we go down into the article. The iPhone 16 also gets a new exclusive A18 chipset, which will power Apple Intelligence features from October onwards. And the phone's rear camera lenses are now arranged vertically, which you can see right here, to allow for spatial video capture. The iPhone 16 ships in multimarine, teal, pink, white, and black. So you can see them all right here. And will be available to pre-order from Friday, September 9th. I guess they mean Monday. But some of them you couldn't pre-order until today. I know that. The new device hits store shelves on Friday. I think they probably meant Friday, September 13th today. The new device hits store shelves on Friday, September 20th, alongside the iPhone 16 Plus, Pro Max. And supposedly my new Apple Watch should be here on September 20th also. So they're telling me. The iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max are now even more Pro and bigger. We were expecting the iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16 Max to have a solid suite of upgrades, but what Apple has added to its next-gen smartphones is rather impressive and a tad overwhelming. Both phones get larger screens, 6.3 and 6.9 inches respectively, and have a powerful A18 Pro chipset. So the regular one got an A18. These got an A18 Pro chipset. Okay. That promises a heck of a lot more gaming power and the ability to deliver high-quality 4K video capture at 120 frames per second which Apple is touting as a pro feature. The action button is more capable, and as with the base iPhone 16, there's a new haptics-based camera control button, that's what Brian was talking about, that can recognize a mix of taps and swipes to trigger different camera and shooting modes. Plus, for people who want to capture great sound, there are now 4 mics in the Pro phone, that's good, with the ability to record spatial audio when capturing video. On top of this, there are 4 colors: black titanium, white titanium, natural titanium, desert titanium, and smart features via an upgraded Siri and Apple Intelligence, which we haven't gotten that yet. I think we're not going to get some of this till the end of the year and into next year, as far as the Apple Intelligence stuff. And somehow Apple has decided not to increase the price of the Pro phones, thank goodness, despite the upgrades. We could be looking at 2 very powerful contenders for the top spot on our best phones list. The iPhone 16 Plus is, well, it's just bigger. Everything is bigger. The iPhone 16 Plus is 1-to-1 with the iPhone 16 in all but one area, size. With the 6.7-inch display, the Plus is now Apple's second largest phone, behind the newly enlarged iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now, I have my 15 Pro Max. I will not be upgrading it. Along with the rest of the iPhone 16 lineup, the iPhone 16 Plus comes equipped with a new action button and camera control capacitive button. Powered by the A18 chipset, the iPhone 16 Plus will receive a suite of Apple Intelligence features as a beta, so not regular yet, in October before they officially launch in December. So you're not going to see any of these Apple Intelligence features until December. And my iPhone 15 Pro Max should get them too, or most of them anyway. New AI tools include visual intelligence, which uses the vertically aligned cameras to provide information about your surroundings. More on that below. Pre-orders go live today with prices starting at $899, and for the model with 128 gigabytes of storage. Yeah, Tech Odyssey was very upset about it's still coming with 128 gigabytes of storage and that it's 60 frames per second on that version. And he says for that kind of money, you should be getting more. And I kind of agree with him. Speaking of prices, we can't believe we're saying this, but given the upgrades Apple has brought to its iPhones with the iPhone 16 family, Cupertino smartphones might actually be good value. That's because they haven't risen in price. Brian says, yeah, don't blame me for not upgrading yet. Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it if you've got the 15 Pro Max. Now, I know Tech Odyssey is going to, but he's had nothing but problems with his 15 Pro Max. I've had no problems with mine at all. Okay, that means the iPhone 16 starts at $799, Plus starts at $899, Pro starts at $999, and the Pro Max starts at $1,200, which is what I paid for my 15 Pro Max. But I traded in. Obviously, the prices can get a little eye-watering when you bump up the storage options, which is why I don't. With the 1 terabyte iPhone 16 Pro Max topping out at $1,600. But go for a more conservative amount of onboard storage, and the prices are easier to swallow. I agree. And since I change phones like every day, it doesn't make sense for me to go for more storage. All 4 new iPhone models will be released on September 20th, so it's a week from today. But iPhone 16 pre-orders start today, and we'll flag any iPhone 16 deals as and when they pop up, so do keep that page bookmarked. Number 5, seeing double. The iPhone 16 gets 2 new buttons. Alongside the iPhone 15 Pro's action button, a programmable shortcut button which replaces the mute switch on older models, Apple has given iPhone 16 models another new button, camera control. So they can't stop talking about this camera control. You can tap the button once to open the camera app, tap it again to take a picture, and by sliding your phone along the button, you can adjust various camera settings to adjust the composition and appearance of your snaps. I think they mean by sliding your finger along the button. It looks like it'll make taking pictures on the iPhone 16 more convenient, and we're excited to try that out. That's probably true. 6, iPhone 16 Pro promises studio quality recording hardware. Apple really wants creatives to use the iPhone 16 Pro for their music and video needs. It boasts 4 studio quality mics, which in combination with AI trickery can be used, but we got to wait for that AI trickery, can be used to adjust the sound mix of your shots, focusing on just the key actors, what's in frame, or a balance of all the sound, or used to help you layer song ideas in notes. So I guess that's something you're going to have to practice with, is my guess. In one example shown during the event, a musician played a guitar riff they had recorded earlier while recording new lyrics over the top. I missed that. They could then play both together, that's cool, or isolate just the riff or lyrics to help them create a new tune. As a songwriter myself, I can see where that would be very helpful. The iPhone 16 Pro is also able to capture 4K video at 120 frames per second. And once you have your video, you can adjust playback speed in the app to create cinematic slow-mo segments after the fact. You can also rely on the new camera control button to more easily adjust camera settings on the fly. Yeah, it's going to be taking some practice, I think. All new iPhone models get new chipsets. The iPhone 16 family has brought with it a new A18 and A18 Pro chipsets. And as usual, Apple has made some impressive claims, they always do, about performance improvements without much in the way of actual benchmark. They don't do benchmarks, you know that. Nevertheless, the company claims the A18 found in the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus has a 30% faster CPU and 40% faster GPU than the A16 Bionic chipset it replaces. As for the A18 Pro found in a 16 Pro and Pro Max, Apple is claiming 15% CPU performance gains a 20% GPU boost. Now, of course, they tell us that. Do we know that? No. The A18 Pro also doubles video encoding speeds. Welcome news to those making use of the iPhone's ProRes recording abilities. That's good. What is concretely impressive is that these are the world's first commercially available 3nm smartphone chipsets, something we heard relatively little about until the event itself. That's also very good. 8, Apple Intelligence is coming soon. Honest, yeah. Depends on who's defining soon. Apple Intelligence finally has a release window. And while it won't be available for the iPhone 16's lineup launch on September 20th, we won't have long to wait. Apple says the new AI features will arise in October as part of iOS 18.1, iPadOS 18.1, and macOS Sequoia 15.1, although only in U.S. English to start with. Initially, Apple Intelligence will launch in beta with writing tools, summaries, and series redesigned to name a few of its tricks. So we're not going to see it, those of us who don't do beta, until December. More localized English languages will be added in December, and we expect to see more Apple Intelligence features such as the Genmoji and Visual Intelligence trickle is the key word, onto our Apple devices over the next few months. The version of Siri we've all been waiting for won't arrive until 2025. See what I mean? However, so you'll need to wait to ask the voice assistant about what's on your device's screen. Visual Intelligence is like Google Lens for an iPhone. We were all hoping for a new Apple Intelligence feature exclusive to the iPhone 16 lineup, and Apple well and truly delivered. Press the new camera control button on the 16, 16 Plus Pro, or Pro Max to activate Visual Intelligence and search for whatever you're seeing using AI. So it's like serverless search, I think. This new Apple Intelligence feature might sound similar to Google Lens, but it's on an iPhone now, and it looks seriously cool. Visual Intelligence arrives on the iPhone 16 later this year. So again, later this year. So for now, you'll need to use the camera control button to well capture photos. So nothing is right now. Number 10, the Apple Watch 10 has a bigger screen and thinner body. And that's the only thing that I upgrade. I'm trading in my original Apple Watch SE. The Apple Watch Series 10 has arrived with its biggest ever screen, thinnest ever body, and fastest ever charging. Yeah, and it's bigger than the Ultra. So pretty cool that they made it lighter. With a new display that's bigger than the Apple Watch Ultra's 49mm beast, although we didn't get an exact size for the Series 10's new display, the wide-angle OLED offers 30% more screen space in comparison to the old Apple Watch Series 6. Want more? A new S10 chipset offers the Translate app, that's good, and machine learning power with health smarts, including a new breathing disturbances feature for sleep apnea detection. That's good for people with that. And then there's the speaker, 11. And the Watch 10 has unlocked its speaker for music playback. Now, of course, it's not going to sound fantastic, but if you don't have your earbuds, this is good. Yes, the Apple Watch Series 10 speaker can finally play music. That's right. This oddity of the Apple Watch has been fixed so that you no longer need to connect a pair of AirPods to your Apple Watch to enjoy music you've downloaded to the wearable. We expect the audio quality won't be the most stellar, really. Think of this as a backup rather than your go-to music listening experience. But it will certainly be better than nothing on the occasions you forget your iPhone or your AirPods run out of charge while you're out on the go. That's true. 12. There's no Apple Watch Ultra 3, but the 2 does get some Ultra. That's right. They didn't make an Ultra 3. Even though we didn't see an Apple Watch 3 make an appearance this year, Ultra 3 make an appearance this year, Apple did offer a small update to the Ultra series overall, as well as the previously Ultra exclusive Depth and Oceanic Plus apps being available on the Apple Watch Series 10. The Ultra 2 now comes in a new slick color, satin black. It does look cool, but people are saying it's probably going to scratch very easily. The cool new look is complete with a new band style Milanese titanium, which is meant to evoke the style of classic dive watches, and as such is corrosion resistant for all your deep sea needs. Good. The Apple Watch 10 and Watch Ultra 2 both get a sleep apnea detection feature. The Apple Watch 10 and Watch Ultra 2 are getting a potentially life-changing sleep apnea detection feature. Using the device's accelerometer, so because of their suit with Masimo, they can't use the other. The wearables will detect sleep disturbances that could indicate that the wearer is temporarily stop breathing and analyze these findings every 30 days to identify signs of sleep apnea. Given that up to 80% of people who suffer from the potentially life-shortening disorder, I don't buy that, I'm sorry, may not even be aware they have it, this could be a valuable first line of defense in helping detect it. Yeah, that's good. The AirPods Pro 4 are here, and yes, you are seeing double. You know when you wait ages for a bus, and then that. Apple launched not one, but 2 sets of AirPods Pro at its glow time, both with upgraded acoustic architecture and Apple's original open-ear design. The chief difference between the two, active noise cancellation, adaptive audio, and conversation awareness. That's good, which are reserved for the pricier pair. However, you do get personalized spatial audio and gesture detection in both thanks to Apple's H2 chip. I thought Ted or somebody was coming in here, but I guess not. 15. The AirPods Pro 3 didn't show up, but the Pro 2 gets some upgrades. While we're a little sad that the AirPods Pro 3 weren't revealed, the AirPods Pro 2 are at least going to get 3 new features aimed at protecting your hearing health. There's improved noise cancellation for particularly loud sounds, a hearing test that you can chart changes to your hearing over time. That's good. And most interestingly, the ability to turn your buds into hearing aids. And that's going to be our next story, so we'll go into depth with that. It's not long, though. These features will come to the iPhone Health app with an iOS 18 update sometime, once again, later this year. Only for AirPods 2 owners, but presumably the future AirPods Pro 3 will get them too. And here's the last one. The AirPods Max 2 didn't materialize either. Shame. There were rumors that we would be seeing the new AirPods Max 2 launch at the event, but instead we saw some minor upgrades to the existing AirPods Max. It's unsurprising given that it's been mandated by European regulators that the Lightning port is gone, replaced by the USB-C ports used across the rest of the AirPods range. And the Max have received a glow up with new midnight orange, starlight blue, and purple colorways. It seems like we'll be waiting a little while longer for features like lossless audio and weatherproofing now. So that's everything. Like I said, a long article, but we did go through everything that was announced. So that's good. So that was our big event for the week. See anything? Nothing new in the comments. Okay. All right. Now, the hearing aid device. It's official. FDA allows AirPods Pro 2 to become a hearing aid device, and this was on Tom's Guide. Apple AirPods Pro 2 just granted FDA authorization for hearing aid use. The FDA calls it the first over-the-counter hearing and software device by David Leclerc, published yesterday. So read a view. Come on. Thank you. During its Use It's Glow Time event, Apple announced that its AirPods Pro 2 earbuds were to get a game-changing new feature allowing people to use them as an over-the-counter hearing aid, a first of its kind. Following that announcement, and this was after it was over, that's when the FDA approved it. Oh, Brian, thank you. As always, you are so faithful, sir. Always very much appreciated. Following that announcement, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced that it granted Apple authorization for the first over-the-counter hearing aid software device. Hearing aid feature intended to be used with compatible versions of the Apple AirPods Pro headphones. What did Brian say? The Apple event was lackluster. I didn't think it was lackluster, but it was long. It wasn't particularly exciting. I did see another guy put a video out, and he said the amount of smiles that you see from those people make them all look kind of robotic. And I never thought about that, but I guess that's probably true. Okay. According to the FDA, once customized to a user's hearing needs, the AirPods Pro 2, already one of the best wireless earbuds you can get, can amplify sounds for individuals with mild to moderate hearing impairment. The government agency also noted that the feature is intended for users 18 and older. Today's marketing authorization of an over-the-counter hearing aid software on a widely used consumer audio product is another step that advances the availability, accessibility, and acceptability of hearing support for adults with perceived mild to moderate hearing loss. A vital portion of the FDA's release mentions that users can adjust the AirPods Pro 2 to meet their hearing needs without the assistance of a professional. For those who don't want or can't afford to go to a doctor, being able to adjust the volume, tone, and bounce settings on their own is a great option to have. The FDA says they tested the hearing aid feature with 118 adults with mild to moderate hearing loss at multiple sites around the U.S. and found that Apple's AirPods Pro 2 had similar benefits to professionally fitted hearing aids. So doing it yourself, I guess, is just about as good as getting it from a doctor. And Ted's in here. You need to come in here. What did he say? At a function. Oh, okay. He's at a function. So I can see the stream is doing great. Well, yeah, thanks to our wonderful subscribers. Yeah. Started off technical issues because of Windows 11, but with Brian and Eleanor and that's help, I got it straightened out. Speaking about how significant a publicly available OTC hearing aid is, Michelle Tarver, MD, PhD, acting director of the FDA Center for Devices and Radiological Health, said today's marketing authorization of an over-the-counter hearing aid software on a widely used consumer audio product is another step that advances the availability, accessibility, and acceptability, didn't we just say that, of hearing support for adults with perceived mild to moderate hearing loss. More than 30 million American adults have some degree of hearing loss, whether caused by natural aging, loud noise exposure. All the years I spent yelling in rock bands, you'd think I would have ear problems, but I don't. Medical conditions or other factors. I'm very grateful. Having a device like the AirPods Pro 2 readily available, as noted by the FDA, can lead to reductions in the frequency or severity of a mental decline, depression, and health problems in older. I never thought of decline, but I guess having ear problems would give you some depression, I guess, in older adults. So, good in-depth article, and sounds like this will be good for people. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go blow my nose because I seem to be stuffing up. Give me a minute, folks. What is that? Flossie says, talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. I was really getting stuffed up. I don't know why. Okay. Next story. Thanks to AI, new phones mean more RAM. And this was on The Verge. And I used the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but you could have used any of the new phones for this because they're all getting RAM because of AI. There's more to this year's smartphones than AI. Phones are seeing increased RAM across the board. We have AI to thank for it. That's by Wes Davis. Again, this was written yesterday. So into reader view. Apple revealed its iPhone 16 lineup on Monday, and the biggest selling point was Apple Intelligence, which we're not seeing for a while. Apple's on-device AI systems offer splashy features like the ability to rewrite emails, generate custom emoji, and a significantly upgraded Siri, which we won't see till next year. But underneath it all, AI is delivering one other big change to the phone: more RAM. Although Apple never talks about RAM in its smartphones, Mac Rumors discovered that every iPhone 16 model now has 8 gigabytes of RAM, up from 6 gigabytes. You wouldn't think 2 gigabytes would make that much difference, but I guess it did in the base models from last year. And it's not just Apple making changes like that. Last month, Google made similar changes to its AI-heavy Pixel 9. Both the standard and Pro models saw an increase in RAM, making 12 gigabytes the least you can get this year. That's good. The impotence behind these RAM bumps appears to be artificial intelligence. AI is the year's new must-have feature. Yeah, they keep telling us that. And it's also incredibly RAM hungry. That's true. Smartphone makers are now bumping memory because they need to, whether they're saying that out loud or not. AI models need to be quick to respond when users call on them, and the best way to make that happen is to keep them perpetually loaded in memory. That's smart. RAM responds far more quickly, than a device's long-term storage. It would be annoying if you had to wait for an AI model to load before you can grab a quick email summary. That's true. But AI models are also fairly large. Even a small one like Microsoft Phi 3 Mini takes up 1.8 gigabytes of space, and that means taking memory away from other smartphone functions that were previously making use of it. You can see how this played out very directly on Pixel phones. Last year, Google didn't, that's right, enable AI feature on the standard model Pixel AI due to hardware limitations. Yeah, people got very aggravated about that, but I guess it was true. Spoiler, it was the RAM. Android VP and General Manager Xiang Chao said in March that the Pixel 8 Pro could better handle the Gemini Nano, the company's small AI model, because that phone had 4 gigabytes of RAM at 12 gigabytes than the Pixel 8. 4 gigabytes more RAM than the Pixel 8. The model needed to stay loaded in memory at all times, and the implication was that the Pixel 8 would have lost too much memory in supporting the feature by default. It wasn't as easy a call to just say, all right, we're just going to enable it on the Pixel 8 as well, Chow said. Google eventually allowed Gemini Nano on the Pixel 8, but only for people willing to run their phones in developer mode. So I guess developer mode has more RAM, I guess, or gives you more RAM. People who Chow said understand the potential impact to the user experience. Those trade-offs are why Google decided to boost RAM across the board with Pixel 9. We don't want the rest of the phone experiences to slow to accommodate the larger model. That's good. Hence, growing the total RAM instead of squeezing into the existing budget. Google Group Product Manager Stephanie Scott said in an email exchange with The Verge. So, is all that extra RAM just going to AI, or will users see improved performance across the board? We don't know, do we? It's going to depend a lot on the implementation and just how large these models are. Google, which added 4 gigabytes to support local AI features, says you'll need improvements to both. Speaking only to our latest Pixel phones, Scott wrote, you can expect both better performance and improved AI experiences from the additional RAM. She added that Pixel 9 phones will be able to keep up with future AI advances. But those advances mean larger models. That could easily mean they'll be eating up my RAM. Yeah, I'm waiting for my 9 Pro to ship, which it hadn't up until a time. That's still saying it's going to be here next week or the week after. The same RAM boosting trend is playing out in the laptop world too. Microsoft dictated earlier this year that only machines with at least 16 gigabytes of memory can be considered as a Copilot Plus PC. That is, a laptop capable of running local Windows AI features. It's rumored that Apple is planning to add more RAM to its next generation of laptops too, after years of offering 8 gigabytes of RAM by default. Yeah, that's not going to be enough for the AI. That extra memory will be needed, especially if laptop makers want to keep even larger models loaded locally. I think most OSs will keep a LLM always loaded. That's going to take up some RAM. Hugging Face CTO Julian Chuman told me in an email. So 6 to 8 gigabytes of RAM is the sweet spot that will unlock that in parallel to the other things the OS is already doing. Chuman added that models can then load or unload a small model on top of it, so then you'll have 2 models loaded, to change some properties, such as a style for image generation or domain-specific knowledge for an LLM. So yeah, you do need a lot of RAM for that. Apple hasn't explicitly said how much RAM is necessary to run Apple Intelligence, but every Apple device that runs it is going back to the 2020 M1 MacBook Air. I have that. Has at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. Notably, last year's iPhone 15 Pro with 8 gigabytes of memory can run Apple Intelligence, while the standard 15 with 6 gigabytes of RAM cannot. So mine should be up there because I have the Pro Max. Apple AI boss John Gianandre, said in a June interview with Daring Fireball's John Gruber that limitations like bandwidth in the device and the neural engine size would make AI features too slow to be useful on the iPhone 15. That makes sense. Apple VP of Software Engineering Craig Federighi said during the same appearance that RAM is one of the pieces of the total. The 2 gigabyte iPhone 16 RAM bump isn't ultimately a lot, but Apple has long been slow to expand baseline RAM across its devices. Yeah, that's the truth. Any increase here feels like a win for usability, even if the company is starting small, which they are. We don't know how useful Apple Intelligence will be or whether a slight jump in memory will be enough for today's iPhones to run tomorrow's AI features. One thing seems certain, though, we'll be seeing more of these sorts of hardware bumps as AI proliferates across the industry. See what, Brian, what up, Ted? Kids will want AI-powered laptops to do their homework for, and they'll probably get some of them, some of it done for them. Wouldn't be a bit surprised. It'd be interesting if teachers end up finding a way to figure that out or not. Probably some will and some won't. Okay. And nothing else. All right. On to our next one. This one I found very interesting. I'm going to hope I have time to do this over the weekend to try it on one of my computers. We'll see. Google's AI can create a podcast discussion from your notes. This was on The Verge. This is pretty fascinating stuff. Google is using AI to make fake podcasts from your notes. Google's Notebook LM app can now generate lively, that's the key, audio discussions with two AI hosts. So they make these AI hosts up on their own about the documents you've given it by Emma Roth. And this is from the day before yesterday. So let's go into read a view. Google can now turn your research into an AI-generated podcast complete with two hosts. I find that amazing, that discuss what you dug up. The experimental feature lives within Notebook LM, the AI note-taking app Google launched last year. I don't remember even hearing about this. And we'll have AI hosts summarize your material, make connections between topics, and get this banter back and forth. That's pretty amazing. Probably going to make some mistakes. It's meant to build on Notebooks LM's existing features that help you interact with all your notes, transcripts, and other research documents. The app already uses Google's Gemini AI model to help summarize your research, and this is sort of like an audio version of that. Google isn't making things up when it says the AI hosts will banter with each other either. That's amazing. While trying out audio overview for myself, so that's what I got to try out, I guess, audio overview. I plugged in one of the sample notebooks about the invention of the light bulb, and the results were a bit uncanny. During the 10-minute long interview, so they talked to each other for 10 minutes, the two hosts had a lighthearted discussion about how Thomas Edison wasn't the only person behind the light bulb, and that in the end, it's actually a story about teamwork making the dream work. That's true, because Nikola Tesla was in on that, and so was some French scientist. The host could also be mistaken for human podcasters. Almost, not quite though. Hosts could almost be mistaken for human podcasters from the way they emphasize BAM when tossing it in the middle of a sentence to using modern phrasing like messy as heck. There were still a couple of quirks, which you would expect, as I noticed the AI spelling out certain words and phrases like PLUS, so it doesn't say plus, it spells it. It's interesting. Some of the writing wasn't exactly what a human would say either, with one AI host calling platinum bling bling metal. Okay. That gives it more personality to me. The feature makes learning about research more engaging, but I'm wondering whether the host will maintain their lighthearted, somewhat jokey tone when discussing more serious topics like cancer or war. That's true. That should be interesting. There's quite a bit of filler during the conversation. I'm not surprised for 10 minutes. So it might not be the best way to quickly and clearly distill all your information. That's something Google mentioned in its announcement, as it says the feature is not a comprehensive or objective view of a topic, but simply a reflection of your notes. Still, it's pretty fascinating. There are some other limitations to audio overview as well, as Google says it could take several minutes, to generate a podcast-like discussion. That means it's probably going out to the web, and it's only available in English. Like many AI tools, it isn't always accurate. Really? You can try out the feature for yourself by opening up a notebook in Notebook LM. From there, select the notebook guide in the bottom right corner of the screen, and then hit load beneath the audio overview heading. I know I'm going to be doing some research on a random topic just so I can hear what the AI podcasters have to say. Me too, if I can figure out how to do it the way he told me to. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. All right. Okay. Take a quick sip. All right. Another fascinating story from this week. Two civilians take a walk in space. Two civilians. That's a first. This is on Digital Trends. Polaris Dawn astronauts make history by completing first private spacewalk. This is from yesterday. Oh, it's by Georgina Torbay. Let's go into read view. Two private astronauts have completed the first ever commercial spacewalk, marking the first time that civilian astronauts have stepped out into space. I think that's so cool. As part of the Polaris Dawn mission launched on Tuesday, billionaire Jared Isaacman and SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis spent around 30 minutes outside their SpaceX Dragon. And if you wanted to pay for me to go, I'd go. Isaacman exited the Dragon at around 6:52 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by Gillis at an unusually high altitude of 435 miles above the Earth's surface. That's way up there. While previous commercial space flights have been into a lower orbit or carried passengers to the International Space Station, Polaris Dawn will spend part of its 5-day mission at altitudes of up to 870 miles. That's way, way up there. At this altitude, the astronauts pass through parts of the Van Allen belt that protects Earth from radiation, marking the farthest distance from Earth ever traveled in a Crew Dragon and the farthest humans have traveled since the Apollo program. So this is pretty historical. The spacewalk took place at a lower altitude, however, to ensure that the pair of spacewalkers were safe from radiation. That's a good idea. The spacewalk, which was live streamed by SpaceX, also offers stunning views of Earth as seen from the Crew Dragon capsule. I'm going to have to go back and see if I can catch some of that footage on YouTube. Pretty much everything SpaceX does is out on YouTube. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. Let's try to make it that way, said Isaacman as he exited the Dragon and stepped into space. During the spacewalk, the entire Crew Dragon was depressurized so the two private astronauts who remained inside the craft were also in spacesuits to provide them required oxygen and pressure. Part of the purpose of the spacewalk was to test out a newly designed SpaceX spacesuit, which is slimmer than previous spacesuits used for spacewalks, with improved mobility and temperature control. That's good. Always making it better. I think that's awesome. That's the kind of stuff SpaceX does, I think. In addition to the spacewalk, over the 5-day mission, the crew will be part of various research projects into human health in space, and sensors will be used to monitor how much radiation each person is exposed to. That's good. A significant concern for future plans to send astronauts to the moon long term. The spacewalk was hailed as a major step forward in private spaceflight, including by NASA officials. Congratulations, Polaris program and at SpaceX on the first commercial spacewalk in history. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson wrote on X, today's success represents a giant leap forward for the commercial space industry and NASA's long-term goal to build a vibrant U.S. space economy. So, very cool story, I thought. And I'm one of those weirdos who would have jumped on the ship in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, too. So, okay. Nothing new in the comments. We're down to our last story. Another one that I think is very cool. T-Mobile and SpaceX complete the first ever satellite emergency alert across, get this, 500,000 square miles. So Digital Trends. T-Mobile's satellite network just set an industry first yesterday. Let's into review. Okay. Emergency alerts are one of those smartphone figures that many people ignore. After all, are they really that useful? Yes, they are. I agree. Whether you're dealing with a wildfire, a hurricane, a tornado, or some other major event, emergency alerts let you stay connected with real time information. If you're taking shelter, those alerts can sometimes be your only link to the outside world. Usually, these alerts require a cell signal, no longer. T-Mobile just issued the first emergency alerts ever to be sent via satellite across more than 500,000 square miles. That amazes me. The coverage area was dominated by mountains or uninhabitable land and provided users with critical alerts. So mountains don't get in your way, nothing. This is awesome. Rather than rely on mobile towers, which are vulnerable to fire and other types of damage, T-Mobile partnered with SpaceX. On September 5th, operators issued a hypothetical evacuation notice. The notice was broadcast 217 miles into space, where it was received by a low orbit Starlink satellite, one of more than 175 Starlink devices currently looking down on us. I guess there's always that many up there. And then broadcast across the target zone. It took only seconds to be delivered. That is awesome with that kind of square miles. Wow. This might not strike you as the most exciting news in the world. It does me, but it's a huge milestone in terms of reaching people in more rural areas. I bet it is. Geography has posed a problem for mobile networks in the past. Mountains, trees, and buildings can block signals. Can't block this. While inaccessible areas can leave sections without any signal at all. By broadcasting alerts over the satellite, T-Mobile is able to reach more customers with potentially life-saving alerts. This is an important first step in expanding coverage to underserved locales too. I think that's a great, great story, and it's probably going to save some people's lives. So I'll be glad when everybody gets on board with this stuff. So that's it, folks. That's my stories for the night. Let's stop. Let's see, stop screen. Okay. So thanks for sticking with me through the problems, and we can thank Windows 11 updates for causing my problems, but hopefully everything was good once we got it set, and thanks to Brian and Annette and Eleanor for helping me figure out the problems and letting me know when everything was good. So hopefully next week Ted or Mike or somebody will join us. I know it's always better when these guys are there, but we did pretty good this week. So thanks for being with us. You guys have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And let's always remember, we all do better when we love each other. See you next week, folks. Hopefully without the problems.